ZOODIAC Barrage is now legal in Master Duel, and it is a card that is remarkably powerful but has been reportedly absent from my covering of the latest release. Now, that's going to change today. This is the first deck that I've played that I've had quite a bit of success with when it comes to utilizing ZOODIAC Barrage, and that is, of course, the KASHTIRA ZOODIAC deck. Now, a few people have covered this. I've been sort of in between builds, in between sort of different variations. That's why it's taken me so long to cover it. But this is the version of it that I ended up settling on after some pretty decent success in the Master rank. So we're basically balancing out our KASHTIRA package. We're playing all the important cards. The changes that I made to the decks that I was seeing around, and the bit that wasn't really clicking with me is that it felt sort of empty, right? It didn't feel like there's a wow factor. It didn't feel like there was a pop. And what I feel like has added to that is, number one, the usage of Small World, which is reportedly absent in a lot of other people's lists, as well as a small emergency teleport package. Admittedly, I got the idea of that from a Hexlix video talking about a completely different deck. I forget entirely what it was. But basically running E-Telly plus Ghost Ogre and the Madame Spider plus the Dangerous Goblin gives us an extra negate, gives us some really good small world bridges, which is the main concern, and then it also enables us to play Emergency Teleport to bring out a quick Baron if we happen to open it up. So a little bit of synergy there, but other than that, it is mainly just your standard bread and butter KASHTIRA ZOODIAC. Now, what exactly do these cards do? Well, Barrage, the big new one, alongside Ratpier, basically allows you to pop a card in your field to special summon a ZOODIAC from deck. Now, that enables some pretty fancy plays alongside your Trident and even the Utopic Draco Future, which we're going to show off in this video. Also, Ratpier is essentially like a one-card UDF as well, beside the Ram, so there's some really nice combos there. The games that you're going to see in this video are real fucking slugfest. Again, these are real back and forth games. They were a lot of fun. This deck isn't super overwhelming, but it feels like it puts up a really good fight in most cases, and the games are typically a lot more interactive than what they would be for something like Mathmech, for example. In Mathmech, I say no 3 times, you leave, right? This deck feels a lot more interactive, a lot more back and forth, and it feels like you can play through quite a lot going first and second. You've got your KASHTIRA cards, which are excellent going first. Trident's excellent going first. UDF is excellent going first, and going second, you get the easiest Zeus in the fucking world because of Barrage. But I'm not going to waste too much time here to start talking about it. I've got all these games lined up. We're going to do that. Deck profile at the end as well. So if you're interested in this style of content or anything else, of course, that we do here, you can subscribe to catch more videos as they come out daily. So make sure you subscribe to catch them all. Yeah, deck list at the end, gameplay coming up. Let's get into it. This match in particular was real rough. Now, you wouldn't think it with us opening up with Max C like that. Usually that's a done deal, right? Not against Branded, apparently. I was blown away by how excellently our opponent played here. So full props to Black Dream. He played phenomenally. If you're watching this, good job. We're going to go main phase 1. They are going to use Albion the Shrouded Dragon, sending the Branded opening to the graveyard. Going to go Fusion Deployment, special summoning Cartesia from the deck. That's our one and only special summon for the turn. Albion and Grave, setting the brightest blazing Branded King to the field. Not a card I've ever actually seen played before this replay here. We're going to top deck in the Nibiru, which isn't super valuable. Tinky going to grab us Ratpier. Now they're going to go Cartesia to Fusion Summon into Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. The Sanctifier Dragon having more uses than just a gimmick puppet lock. I was going to use this to try and take control of that Albion, but he had other ideas, using his Branded King to protect it from being stolen. We're going to go Ratpier now. Ratpier going to mill out the Ram before going into Borbo. I knew that his plan was to use the Sanctifier Dragon to, of course, bring back Albaz so we could fusion summon with one of our Exceed monsters. It was very obvious, so I wanted to force him into a position where he had to do it now, and he did it. Now we're going to go ZOODIAC Barrage. Barrage popping the Max C to summon out the Whiptail. They're going to go Mirage It on the Whiptail to stop us even going into Trident. That is all fine. Again, we're still playing the game, banishing the Nibiru, banishing Ghost Ogre. Going to go through Ghost Ogre to Unicorn. Now we can special out the Unicorn using its effect to search our deck for Theosis. Very, very tough matchup here, but we are going to try our best. We are going to go Theosis into the Fenrir. Fenrir then grabbing another Unicorn because we already have a Rise Heart in hand. Shangri-La then, of course, first we're going to go Rise Heart, special summoning out beside the Shangri-La using its effect, banishing the Unicorn to boost up to level 7. Now here is where we could have maybe done things differently and maybe arrived at a different conclusion for this game entirely. We could have gone just Shangri-La into a Rise Heart. Shangri-La then, of course, being able to banish the Mirage It without proccing its effect and swinging over the Albion. but it would have left us with a dead random Rise Heart on the field. So I decided to go for the Rise Heart into the Rise Heart. Of course, per standard, we're going to swing in, taking out the Sanctifier Dragon, it being banished. We do get to grab it from the banish pile that prevents him from using it beside like a Lobelion or something like that for fusion material. Branded and High Spirits then being added back to hand. This part's crazy, right? Branded and High Spirits back to hand. Cartesia back to hand. Titaniclad from the graveyard, adding the Quem from deck to hand. So +3 during my end phase is fucking nuts. I really want to play Branded. Branded video coming up soon. Shangri-La going to summon out a Fenrir during our opponent's standby phase. Into the battle phase, of course, crashing the Mirror Jade into our Arise Heart, neutralizing the board. They're going to go Albion then in response. They're going to send Retribution. Using Retribution's effect, they're going to banish it to add the Branded... the Branded what? I always forget. There's so many different Branded cards now. Regained, not opening. I called it opening earlier. Branded Regained. Branded Regained, then back to hand, going Quem, going Regained. Now they're going to use Tragedy Engraved, banishing Tragedy to get to add the Blazing King back to the field as well. Going to recycle, drawing one. We're going to use that opportunity to quickly banish that Quem. Quem can be big and bad news if we allow it to stick around. So we're going to prevent him from recurring and prevent it from doing any fuck shit. We're just going to banish it right now, get rid of it. We're going to start locking up his zones. Cartesia once again fusing, this time into Sprind. Sprind using its effect, bouncing over to Shangri-La's zone, trying to palm it. We're going to protect it using its own effect. And we're going to protect it during the end phase as well, using up its second and final material. Adding Cartesia back to hand during the end phase as per normal. And then passing back to us. This is real back and forth game right here. Drawing in the Thrust, not the greatest card in the world, if I'm being perfectly honest. We are going to try to use our Barrage to pop Tenki to see if we can get some advantage going here. Unfortunately, our opponent was ready. We decide, fuck it, we're going to bite the bullet. We're going to swing with Shangri-La, otherwise we're just going to lose it anyways. Main phase 2, special summon out to Unicorn. Unicorn grabbing KASHTIRA Birth from our deck, playing Birth to grab back a Fenrir from our graveyard, setting up as much interruption as we possibly can. He does still have the Sprind, but trying to Sprind away our Unicorn would be risky. They are going to use it to get rid of our Fenrir and the Tenki. We're going to use that opportunity to take care of the Mirror Jade in his extra deck. That's his last copy of it gone. Cartesia then fusion summoning off into the Dusk Dragon. Dusk Dragon being a bit of a problem. Going to send the Lobelion from deck to grave, branded in red, targeting the Albaz in the grave to bring it back to hand. I don't know if it's going to fusion summon here. He does not. He just decides to add it back. KASHTIRA Birth, we're going to clear out some of those cards in the grave that would otherwise recur. The Cartesia, the Blazing King, as well as the Lobelion. So we're clearing out some of those problematic cards that would just end up coming back over and over and over. So we're whittling down his grind game, so we are slowly but surely. Springant's kit coming out to the field, going to use the kit, going to grab back Branded Retribution from the banish pile, going to return the card back to the deck. Now into the battle phase, taking out the Unicorn, crashing his Dusk Dragon into it, 17 to the face, passing back to us with a face down card. Albion then grabbing Branded Lost from deck to hand. So this could be the penultimate turn here. We're going to top deck, we're going to draw into the field spell, which actually does nothing. We don't have any KASHTIRAs left in deck. KASHTIRA Birth, bringing back the Fenrir. We're going to use Barrage then, Barrage popping itself, going in the Furblade in the Chakanine, and at this point our opponent realizes it is game over. But they put up a hell of a fight. What a goddamn game. So again, it's hard to be mad. A game like that is absolutely phenomenal. Very well played to our opponent, but we just had the gas, we had the recursion, we had the means necessary to neutralize the advantage that even the tier 1 Branded can generate. It's a really good game, number 1. Let's get into game 2. Alright, lining up against another tier 1 threat. This time it is Vanquish Soul. They're going to banish 6 from the extra deck and start searching the top cards of their deck, revealing of course the fact that they are playing Vanquish Soul. They're going to grab basically whatever the hell they want from here. Going to grab Fenrir. I'm assuming they've already got a Razan then. They're going to go Rhoda to grab themselves Razan. Actually, there you go. There's the Rhoda. So that's why they grab Fenrir. Fenrir using its effect, going to grab a Rise Heart from the deck. I'm assuming they just needed that second fire. Normal summon the Razan. Razan gets searching for the Xiao Long. We're going to use Razan's effect, revealing, of course, the Xiao Long, so we can summon the Xiao Long out to the field. Then I'm assuming we go, yep, link 1 in the Rock of the Vanquisher. Rock of the Vanquisher then going to add back from graveyard to hand the Rise Heart. That's 2 fires now in hand for the Xiao Long. They're going to use its effect, revealing the Razin, revealing the Rise Heart, and adding another card from deck to hand, grabbing the Snow Devil. Now they're going to set one and pass. So they've got their Rocket the Vanquisher, they've got their Fenrir, they've got their board wipe. We draw into Raigeki, which is a hell of a top deck. I did end up cutting Raigeki from the list as part of our little Small World engine, which I'll get to at the end. But it's fine. It ends up really not being all that really impactful here. They're going to add another card from deck to hand, grabbing the Caesar Valius. But again, anyone who has played their Vanquish Soul deck knows that a board wipe is annoying, but not the end of the world for Vanquish Soul. We're going to go Unicorn, grabbing Theosis directly from deck. We're going to normal summon the Ferroblade, special summoning out Fenrir from deck. This is when they're going to go for the Snow Devil, revealing the Razin, revealing the Caesar, and revealing the Heavy Warger. They're going to wipe the board, special summoning Razin out to the field as well, inflicting a whole bunch of burn damage. Razin going to search the deck for the Dr. Madlove 2. 3 cards left in hand is going to make it rather awkward for us to come back. They're going to go Borger as well, using its effect, revealing a Dark to draw an extra card. They got a thick out hand at 7 cards. Special summoning out the Unicorn, going to now use KASHTIRA Birth. They're going to go for Caesar's effect. Very, very annoying here. Caesar is going to come out. Caesar does have the ability to pop a card. We're going to go for Unicorn here to clear out another one of those Link 1s. We don't really care about the rest of his extra deck. Ghost Bell on the KASHTIRA Birth is also very annoying, so we're going to go Call by the Grave on the Ghost Bell, just so that we can sort of clear that out. Our KASHTIRA Birth is pretty fucking important here. I'm surprised our opponent didn't pop it, if I'm being perfectly honest. In their position, I probably would have. We're going to go into the Fenrir here. Fenrir then using its effect to search our deck. They've got the Ash Blossom here. Again, interesting play. I feel like just popping the Birth for the Caesar Valius might have been different. There may be a reason as to why they can't do it, but either way, I'm going to clear that out. Maybe they didn't have an Earth in hand, actually. Yeah, maybe them playing their Ghost Bell was them playing their only Earth in hand. Who knows? Either way, we have the advantage, and that pretty much wraps her up. So, and there you go, being able to play through board wipes. Maybe not the greatest play from our opponents at the end of the day, but what can you do? Not everyone plays perfectly. Caesar Valius popping the Birth would have changed the course of the duel a little bit, in my opinion. I feel like they could have played that better, but I'll take a win where I can get it. Let's get into game 3. Alright, this game is a little bit different. So we're going to be playing up against Labyrinth. Opening up Nib against Labyrinth is not exactly the nicest feeling in the world. Labyrinth is a bit of a problem for most decks, especially those that are relatively ill-equipped to handle it. Master Duel is funny that way, where a lot of the meta is defined by very oddball decks, right? That defy regular forms of interruption, those sort of centralized column cards. They can play through them and around them, right? The fact that Branded, the likes of Branded and Vanquish Soul and Labyrinth can all play really well through Max C. They all lose to Ash Blossom though. And then you've got other decks that outright lose to Max C, but don't really mind an Ash Blossom. You know, things like Dragon Link, right? Dragon Link can play through an Ash Blossom, no problem. So there's the centralized sort of column of interruption is somewhat skewed in Labyrinth's favor here. They do hit us with a Max C, unfortunately. Max C is a bit of a problem, and you will notice it being a problem for decks like this if you don't draw the out. We're going to go for, they are going to go for a whole bunch of chains here. Chain Link 2, they're going to pop a card off there. Lovely, popping our Fenrir. That's fine, a bit annoying, but you know, what are you going to do about it? Going to grab Torby from deck to hand now off of their Ariana. We're going to go Pressure Planet. They're going to hit that Pressure Planet with an Ash Blossom as well for, you know, I guess they're drawing cards with Max C. I can't be too upset about the fact that them having the out. We're going to normal summon the Whip Teal. We're going to go into Borbo, swinging for 14. Here, we had to make a choice between a 2 Material Zeus or going balls deep, giving our opponent a whole bunch of cards, and going for a 6 Material Zeus. So we decide, fuck it, take your cards. I'm going to go all the way. We go all the way up into a 6 Material Zeus. Now, why is that relevant? Well, because we're playing against the Trappiest deck. I'll explain my thinking here. My thinking here is that realistically, Big Welcome is a problem. We need to make sure that this cannot be used, otherwise we are guaranteed to lose. Right? We can wipe out his whole back row using Zeus. And most importantly, we can take out the big monsters. So Big Welcome is the only real way that this guy has, other than like weird combos into like Muckraker and stuff. But for the most part, the only way that he gets to summon these guys back from the grave is through the likes of Big Welcome. So if I can minimize the number of options he has in that regard, then that means I can minimize my exposure to him bringing these cards back. So we've got rid of a Lovely, we've got rid of a Lady as well. I'm just going to set a copy of Welcome Labyrinth from the deck to the field. I'm going to let that one go. That one's not an immediate threat to me. They are going to go for Big Welcome now, summoning out their last remaining Lady. They're going to use Big Welcome from their grave now. They're going to banish it, target our Zeus, return it back to our extra deck. That is perfectly fine. That is exactly what I was betting on. I knew it was going to happen, so now I get my Zeus back if I need to go into it next turn, assuming there is a next turn, and I clear out their second Lady. Now they're going to go Torby. Now they can't use Big Welcome this turn, which means no graveyard recursion. Welcome only summons from deck. They're going to go Big Welcome to the field. That's fine. They're going to add Kuklonk back to hand. Their hand is massive, so at this point I don't care if they're adding shit to hand. Special summoning out the Fenrir. Swinging for 24. I wasn't expecting a Fenrir. That definitely does put a little bit more offensive pressure onto us. But again, it's one of those situations where of course they have it, right? Drawing into Callby is interesting. We're going to go for Barrage here. Barrage popping itself, summoning out the Rat Pier. We're going to go into Trident now. Trident is purely here because I know that during the end phase he's going to flip up Welcome Labyrinth, so we can use Trident. We're going to clear out that Fenrir because we know that his field spell is going to clear us out, right? So he's going to now use Welcome Labyrinth. Field spell is going to pop our Trident. We knew that was going to happen no matter what. So at least by doing this, we could put pressure on our opponent's offensive capabilities. They're going to go Ariana here, or sorry, Ariane, Welcome Labyrinth, Torby, and Chandelier, all in grave using their effects to recur back. So adding back the hand, special summoning back to the field here with the Torby. Welcome Labyrinth setting itself back to field, and then Ariane is going to draw a card and special summon out the Chandelier. Into our opponent's turn, again, very, very, very clearly, we didn't have access to the Callby. The last thing I was sort of hoping and waiting on, that he would use Big Welcome to try and bring back the Lovely from the graveyard. Then I would go Callby to get rid of the Lovely. Because he just passed turn and I still had Callby in hand, I knew he was just going to go Big Welcome to bring Lovely back from grave. And then that's game over, right? So unfortunate, my last ditch gamble for trying to stay in this game was he activates Big Welcome during the end phase, and then I Callby the Lovely, forcing him to go into something else, which ultimately, again, may not have been enough. It may have bought me more time, though. But at the end of the day, probably not, right? Just one of those games. Labyrinth is just one of those decks. Sometimes you just don't have it, especially when they open Max C. Into the deck profile. Alrighty, so this one should be pretty quick. A lot of the cards are here primarily just for like names and things like that. So one of the big benefits of the deck, though, is hand traps. You play a buttload of hand traps. We got the double Droll, we got the triple Max C, we got the triple Ash Blossom, we have Tactics, we have Nib, we have Thrust, we have double Callby, single Crossout, and we have the one Infinite Impermanence here. There are still more flex spots, which I'm going to very briefly talk about first before diving into the meat of the deck, and that is our mini little E-Telly package, which could just be more hand traps. You can just take this out, put in more hand traps if you want, thin the deck down to 40, go nuts. E-Telly basically, of course, allows you to special summon out a level 3 or a Psychic from deck, or hand, right? Which is useful, especially considering the fact we're playing a whole bunch of level 7 monsters. So my thinking is, E-Telly can get me access to a level 10 Synchro. That's neat. So what ones do we pick? So we pick Madame Spider, and we pick the Ghost Ogre. Why do we pick these two in particular? Well, we pick these two because of Small World, right? Small World is not very good in this deck unless you're playing these additional bridges. And if you're playing the bridges, why not just turn it into a part of the deck, right? So your Ghost Ogre basically links any of your KASHTIRA shit together. It goes from Nib into KASHTIRA as well. So Ghost Ogre is pretty important just as a Psychic bridge. And then your ZOODIAC cards are all Earth, right? So your ZOODIAC cards can all go through Madame Spider to get to your Unicorn, right? Because it's a Psychic. It doesn't start. You can't go into Fenrir using it, unfortunately, but you can go into Unicorn. So these guys are primarily Small World bridges. That's the big idea. That's the whole point of them. Plus, they do serve additional benefit. Of course, Ghost Ogre is a hand trap on field or hand, which means you can still special it from E-Telly and use its hand trap effect. Where basically, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can send this card to the grave to pop it. Easy dub. And then the Madame Spider is useful because it can pay 600 life points to search your deck for a Punk Trap card. So we grab the Dangerous Cowboy, which is basically just a monster to get, which is a pretty decent card to have. It's not even that bad to like hard draw it because it's just a trap. Just set it and use it to negate shit. So it doesn't feel like you're playing any bricks or anything like that. Plus you're playing some really nice Small World bridges. And you're playing level 3 tuners that can either be normal summoned to use as synchro material, or can be special summoned straight from hand or deck using E-Telly. So So I feel like the whole package works really well. I don't think there's a reason to not play it. But you don't have to. So those are flex spots. And lastly, Small World is flex, right? So Small World, you don't have to play because not every build is super great. There's not really a ton of Small World synergy between these cards inherently. So it comes down to whether or not you want to play the bridges. Just most regular hand traps aren't very good bridges between these decks either. So you do sort of have to think about specialist ones. That's why we're playing our little Psychic package, right? But if you're not playing the Psychic package, I don't think there's a ton of sense in playing Small World. But I do definitely think the whole thing ties the deck together really nicely. So let's talk about the deck itself. At this stage, 21 cards, there's 19 spots. Go fucking nuts, right? It's half the deck. So, ZOODIAC cards. The ZOODIAC cards are mostly here for their name. There are some small sort of bits of importance with their effects. Rat Pier is the main one. Rat Pier and Ram Ram are the main ones. Rat Pier being able to, on normal summon, not special summon, very important. I make that mistake myself quite a lot. On normal summon, gets to send a ZOODIAC card from deck to grave. That's big because it sends Ram Ram. Why does that matter? Well, when Ram Ram is destroyed by a card effect, you get to target another ZOODIAC in grave and bring it back. Now that is very important in combination with your Chakanine, and we'll get to that in a minute. So those are the main two. Whip Tail can quick effect attach it on, not quick effect, but well, I guess it is a quick effect actually. But yeah, it can quick effect attach itself from hand onto any of your Beast Warrior Exceed monsters. So it's pretty useful whenever you need to tag out materials, or if you really need to put material onto a card for whatever reason. So yeah, Whip Tail is pretty damn solid. And Ferroblade is the card you will summon, that if you already have everything else set up and you really just have the ability to summon an extra ZOODIAC, this guy can drop a ZOODIAC card from hand to draw a card, right? So if you draw multiple barrages, if you draw multiple names, or you have him and Ram Ram, Ferroblade and Ram Ram is a pretty good combo. Basically, just put shit in grave, right? It's that simple. ZOODIACs really aren't that complicated. They aren't, and they all basically only work because of this card, ZOODIAC Barrage. ZOODIAC Barrage allows you to target a face-up card you control, destroy it, and then special summon a ZOODIAC monster from your deck. It's that simple. So because of Barrage being able to special summon these guys straight from deck, you don't need to play that many of them. I think 6 is still a decent enough number. You will normally see at least one of them in your opening hand, but not that you need to because you already have Barrage, right? So Barrage basically makes the whole thing even better, ties them all together really nicely. So yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. That's it for the ZOODIAC cards. It really isn't that complicated. Now we're going into the KASHTIRA cards. We got 1 Rice Heart, 2 Fenrir, 3 Unicorn. It's almost like a KASHTIRA package as opposed to like a full KASHTIRA deck. We have the 1 Theosis, 1 Pressure Planet, and 1 Birth. You could play more of these spells if you want. You've got 19 flex spots. Go nuts. I very seldom found myself wanting more copies. Maybe another Birth. I would maybe like a second Birth for the grind game, but then again, it's also sort of feels really shitty to open it up with no KASHTIRAs. I feel like if you're going to play more Theosis and more Birth, you need to play more KASHTIRAs. You need to play potentially Ogre, I think would be pretty good, or you could play the Scarclaw KASHTIRA, whatever. If you're going to play more spells, play more KASHTIRA monsters, which is not a bad way to go about it at all. I feel like you could definitely go like double Ogre, Big Bang, and Scarclaw, and then maybe double up on your Theosis or double up on your Birth. I feel like this was probably a more aggressive way of playing it, if that makes sense. You could definitely get your KASHTIRA plays to resolve significantly more consistently by playing it like this. But again, I've just been valuing the hand traps and the advantage that get generated. So I think both are definitely very, very viable ways of playing it, and I will likely come back to this deck and test out that other version. But for now, we're keeping it sort of hand trap city, we're keeping it zoo city, very balanced between all 3 aspects of the deck, because a large part of this deck is, of course, winning with hand traps. Hand traps are huge value. You can really shut down opponents' plays, but nowadays in a meta like this, you need to have like 2 or 3 of them to like shut down any deck, right? Because Branded doesn't give a shit. Dragon Link doesn't give a shit. You really need to have fucking everything to deal with these decks. So playing so many hand traps, that's part of why we're playing so many, and we're focusing only on the best cards of our respective archetypes, so we don't draw into a bunch of mid-level garbage that does nothing. That's the whole main deck. Really is that simple. I guess if you're unfamiliar with what the KASHTIRA cards do, Unicorn and Fenrir both special summon themselves if you don't control any monsters, and Riseheart special summons itself if you control another KASHTIRA. Unicorn can search a spell, Fenrir can search a monster, Riseheart can increase its level to 7 by banishing a KASHTIRA card from deck. And lastly, if your opponent activates a monster effect, Unicorn can look at the extra deck to banish a card face down, and Fenrir, under the same conditions, can banish a face-up card face down. That's simple, right? They're not really complicated monsters. We're all very, very familiar with these cards. They are all over the place on the ladder right now, so I don't think they need any introduction. Theosis will special summon another KASHTIRA from your deck by targeting one on the field with a different attribute. Pressure Planet, on activation, grabs a KASHTIRA monster, and Birth will let you normal summon level 7s of attributing, will bring back a KASHTIRA monster from your graveyard or banish pile once per turn. And if you have a KASHTIRA monster and your opponent activates a spell card, banish 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard, face down. All of this card's effects are really fucking fire. I think Birth is, unironically, in some or even a lot of situations, better than Theosis. I think Birth is fucking amazing. Especially, like, even its graveyard banish is really good into the likes of Branded, being able to just strip them of those long-term resources. So much value in this card. It's actually scary how good this card is. And I mean, no one's calling it bad, but I don't think people respect this card enough. We got the 1 Baron in our extra deck just for our little e-tele package. The UDF line. UDF you can summon very, very easily in this deck, thanks to Chakanine. Which, I mean, I guess we'll talk about Chakanine now. So Chakanine, basically, the way this card works is ideally, you want to have this on the field, and you want to have Ram in graveyard. Now, how you do that is up to you. You could Rat Peer normal summon, send Ram. You could have Ram in hand, use Barrage, summon Furblade, drop it to grave. You could do whatever, right? All you want, Chakanine on board, with at least 1 material, of course, Ram in grave. Now, you can basically use Chakanine to remove the material from itself to summon the Ram from the graveyard. It can't be used as Exceed material during the turn thanks to Chakanine's effect. So what exactly are you going to do about that? Well, you're going to rank your Chakanine up into Trident. You're now going to use Trident to pop the Ram by detaching the Chakanine as material. Now you're going to use Ram's effect to revive the Chakanine that you just sent to the grave. Now you've got Trident and Chakanine on board. These two go into Utopic Future, then into Utopic Druid Future. There you go. And why do you want to summon this guy? Well, he's indestructible, first of all. Can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. Once per turn, if your opponent uses a monster effect, you can detach a material to negate it. And if that monster was on the field, you steal it permanently. So this guy's pretty fucking nuts. Pretty fucking nuts. Then the rest of the cards are pretty much meaningless. Tiger Mortar is a name. Hammer Kong's a name. Because your Zoodiacs can just like summon on top of one another. For anyone who doesn't know how Zoodiacs work, you can just summon any Zoodiac Exceed monster on top of another Zoodiac monster, even the regular ones. So you just like normal summon Furblade, instantly summon Chakanine on top of it. So yeah, but I mean, I guess most people know that, but if you don't. Borbo is the only other one that actually has text that matters, because this guy can attack directly. This guy attacking directly means that main phase 2, so main phase 1, right, you can just instantly summon out any Zoodiac under any conditions, doesn't matter. Battle phase, swing. Main phase 2, instant Zeus. Instant Zeus. Between 2 to 6 materials, you choose. Because you can swing with the Borbo, and then you can pile materials on top of it, and then you can go into Zeus. Or you can just go into Zeus right away, and either force a negate, force an interruption, or wipe the board before you start your combos. It seemed pretty straightforward, right? Zeus is one of the main draws of the Zoodiac cards. Then we got the 1 Shangri-La, of course. Shangri-La, pretty key for our KASHTIRA cards. Can special summon a KASHTIRA during the standby phase. Can lock up opponent zones anytime a card is banished face down. Pretty straightforward card, and we need it to actually bring out our Riseheart as part of our standard combo. The Riseheart, while face up, any card that would be sent to the grave is instead banished. It can detach 3 materials from itself to target a card in the field and banish it face down. And it can also, every time a card is banished, it grabs any banished card and attaches itself to this card as material. That's once per chain, so that's every single time a card is banished. And yeah, that's the full deck. Like I said, really not that complicated. Most of the power of the deck comes from hand traps, so let me bring up the full list. We'll just get one more look at it. Most of the power of this deck comes from the fact that you're able to play all of these fucking hand traps, all of these interruption cards, and get so much access to them so freely, and all of your like main cards, everything in this deck is like a 1-card starter. Or if not starter, every single card in this deck has impact. Because any one of these 6 monsters can go into Zeus, can go into Dryden, right? Any of these KASHTIRA cards can start your whole KASHTIRA combo. So there's pretty much your entire like main deck is like 1-card super high impact monsters, and then the rest of the deck is just hand traps to back it up and make sure that that impact actually means something. So that's the full deck. If you want to see more, of course, you can catch our videos as they come out daily, so subscribe to catch those. Like the video if you got this far and actually enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.